Hey everyone, welcome. So today we are diving deep into a BTO that has a ton of buzz around it, Mount Pleasant Crest, launching in October 2025. We're going to break it all down, scorecard style, to help you figure out if this one is the one for you.
All right, let's jump in. And look, this isn't just your run-of-the-mill BTO launch. We're talking about the very first project in a brand new historic estate. So the big question on everyone's mind is this for you? Does this really cool opportunity actually line up with your life and, your wallet? Let's find out.
Okay, first up, let's talk about the thing everyone's buzzing about, its location. I mean, this is usually the #1 thing on a home buyer's checklist, right? And believe me, Mount Pleasant Crest has a lot to say here.
And wow, we're kicking things off with a full 5 stars. No question about it. I mean, this project's location is its absolute crown jewel, and for some really good reasons. We're talking about a prime, city-fringe spot that isn't just about a fancy address. It's about something much more practical. It's about totally changing your day-to-day life, slashing that commute and having the whole city right at your fingertips for the weekend.
So what's really cool here is the mix of things you're getting. On one hand, you get to be a pioneer in a totally new estate. How exciting is that? But it's also on historic land, so it has this built-in character. Then you've got all the convenience of a super mature estate like Toa Payoh right next door. And you can just pop over to McRitchie Reservoir for some green space. It's like the best of all worlds, really. A very rare combination.
Okay, for anyone who's all about convenience, this is the kicker. You are literally steps away from the new Mount Pleasant MRT station. And here's the best part. The timing is perfect. The station is expected to open right around the time you'd be moving in, so no long wait to get that amazing connectivity.
And let's talk about what that MRT access actually means for your daily life. The Thomson-East Coast Line is an absolute game changer. Think about it, about 10 minutes to get to Orchard, 15 minutes to Buena Vista, and maybe 20 minutes to the CBD? I mean, that's not just a small improvement. That could totally reshape your entire daily routine.
All right, moving on. Let's talk about something that's on a lot of people's minds, schools. If you've got kids, or if you're planning for them down the road, the school situation here is a huge plus. It's a really big part of this BTO's long-term appeal.
Honestly, the school access here is just exceptional. We're giving it a very strong 4 stars for that super important 1-kilometer radius, the one that really counts for priority admission. And it jumps to a perfect 5 stars when you look just a little further out, within 2 kilometers. Let's take a look at some of these schools.
So right within that 1-kilometer sweet spot for balloting, you've got heavy hitters like CIJI Primary and the very well-regarded Peichun Public School. But check this out. Once you expand to 2 kilometers, your options just explode. We're talking about some of Singapore's most famous schools like Singapore Chinese Girls' School and Catholic High. Seriously, having this kind of choice is pretty rare.
And it's not just about primary schools, right? Thinking long-term, you're also super close to some top-tier secondary schools. You've got Raffles Institution, Raffles Girls' School. These are big names. For families who are really looking to put down roots and stay for the long haul, this is a massive, massive plus.
Okay, deep breath. It's time for the reality check. Because let's be honest, a location this amazing with schools this good, well, it's going to come with a price tag. So let's talk about what it's actually going to cost to get a home in a prime spot like this.
Yeah, when it comes to the cost, we've got to be real here. We're only giving it 2 stars. And that's because this is a prime BTO project. Now, what does that mean? It means you get that fantastic location, but it also comes with a much, much higher price. You should definitely expect this to be one of the priciest BTO launches we've seen.
So if we look at similar prime projects to get a ballpark figure, a 4-room flat could easily start at $650,000 and climb up towards $800,000. And that's before any grants. Let's be clear, these prices are way higher than what you'd see for a standard BTO, so your budget is going to be a huge factor here.
But here's the thing. It's not just about the upfront cost. There are strings attached. You're looking at a 10-year minimum occupation period. That's double the usual 5 years. When you do sell, there's a subsidy clawback. You can't even rent out the whole flat after the MOP is over. And there are even income restrictions for the people who buy it from you later on. These aren't small things. They are serious, long-term commitments you really need to think about.
Okay, so we've talked about the high cost, but let's flip the coin, because with that high cost often comes some serious investment potential. So let's shift gears and look at what the resale value might look like down the road.
And boom, we are right back to 5 stars. This is where the whole thing becomes incredibly compelling.
because even with all those prime restrictions we just talked about, the core strengths of this location and having a powerhouse like Toa Payoh right next door, it all points to some really outstanding long-term value.
And hey, you don't just have to take my word for it. Just look at the resale prices in the area. Newer projects in Toa Payoh are already hitting prices near and sometimes even over $1 million for a 4-room flat. That shows you just how strong and established the resale market is that you'd be entering.
If you need just one number, one single statistic to really get the strength of this market, here it is: 210. That's the number of HDBs in Toa Payoh that have sold for over $1 million just this year. That is a massive signal of the kind of demand and value we're talking about here.
All right, so we've covered the amazing location, the fantastic schools, that pretty scary price tag, and the really strong investment potential. So when you put it all together, what's the final verdict?
You know, it really comes down to a very clear trade-off. In one corner, you've got this unbeatable location, the MRT at your doorstep, access to top schools, and huge investment potential. But in the other corner, you have that high price, that long 10-year lock-in, and all those strict resale rules. You're basically paying a premium for a premium product, not just with money, but with time and flexibility too.
So at the end of the day, is this a golden opportunity or is it just too much of a stretch? That's really something only you can decide. The pros, they're incredible. You can't deny them. The real question you have to ask yourself is, are you prepared to pay the price, both in dollars and in a decade of your time, to make it yours?